What's up, everybody? This is another edition of Bulldog Uncensored. Today's a special edition episode of Valentine's Day, and I've got a hell of a privilege today of sitting down with my all-time favorite playmate back in the day, and multi-talented woman, director, actor, you name it, she's done it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Brande Roderick.
Hello.
Brandy, thanks for getting back to me and making all this happen. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm excited that we were able to do it.
Yeah, definitely. No, I've been a big fan for a long time. Um, I spent a lot of time in the late '90s watching Baywatch and being a teenage guy and whatnot at the time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so no, definitely appreciate everything that you've done so far, and
Thank you.
curious. You know, you've been on TV quite a bit, movies and whatnot. Let's backtrack even way further beyond or before that.
Yeah.
What got you into like the entertainment business in general? Was that something that you always kind of strived for, or it just kind of happenstance?
I mean, it's something I've always wanted to act as far back as I can remember,
Yeah,
putting on neighborhood shows, for my neighbors in my living room, setting up chairs and putting plays together with all the neighborhood kids and selling tickets and having people come. And then of course, and then in junior high and high school, taking the drama classes and I come from a very artistic family. My great grandfather was an artist, a poet. My mom is an artist. I come from that bloodline, I think. But acting something I've always wanted to do.
nice, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done very little, but I've done a little bit.
Yeah.
Just out here in Massachusetts, but in
You
towns and
have the
stuff.
bug, huh?
Yeah, I really do. I started off as a musician, and I've been in and out of bands since probably I was like 18,
Mm-hmm.
36 now, so it's been quite a while. So yeah, I play guitar and that kind of stuff, but
Very
being in the
cool.
music business, you have a tendency to branch off and meet people in your network you don't expect, and that happened
Yeah.
to be one of the things that happened with me. So I enjoyed that very much, and any chance I get to do anything again, I'm definitely taking it for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was you mentioned putting on shows for neighbors and whatnot growing up as a kid. Um, what was school like for you? Did you get picked on or pretty normal?
I think for growing up in the 80s, I had a pretty normal childhood because back then it was like normal to get picked on, right? It was
Hmm.
like, um, yeah, I mean, it's like y- I was shopping at, Kmart, for my clothes and whatnot, and started out, in a trailer park and, all the things. So, at a young age, you get to, start dreaming big, right? When you're young, when you have like kind of a little bit of a life kind of starting out like that.
Right.
Um, I even remember like being 11 years old and getting teased for whatever. I probably wore like the same dirty jeans like over again. I don't remember why I was getting teased, but I went to my mom like, Mom, I have to have these special pants or whatever they
Yeah.
were. And she was like, Well, those are freaking expensive. She's like, Okay, if you want these special clothes or whatever, you need to get a job and you pay for half and I'll pay for the other half. And that kind of started a lot of my drive and what I wanted to do. And oh, if I just work this hard, then I can get what I want. So I started babysitting at 11 years old and I was, started working at that age and paying for a lot of things that I wanted. And I thought that was a very fair, way to go about things. If you want a
Yeah.
certain thing and, then you have to work for it. But my childhood, I think, was pretty normal as far as, getting a little teased for things here and there. And even when I was young, one thing I always wanted to be was a playmate. Because I was named after a model, a Playboy model that my mom had saw in the magazine
No
when she was
kidding.
pregnant with me. And so
Wow.
she's like, oh, I want my daughter to be that beautiful. I'm going to name her the same name as this woman.
Talk
So
about manifesting.
name,
Good Lord.
everything with an E and the whole thing. And so that's something I always wanted to do. And so when my fifth grade teacher said, well, what does everybody want to be? And I want to be a playmate. So at that point, I was branded as the slut,
Of course,
from all the
right.
teachers. But I didn't know. I was in fifth grade. What are you, like 9, 10? I mean, whatever I was. But then it kind of starts a precedence, right? But then uh, I had great times too. I really enjoyed, high school and all the things, but I didn't have your typical, exciting, like happy, um, like being the president of the school or, I don't know, all those kinds of,
Oh, you were a cheerleader though, right?
I was a cheerleader for Pop Warner,
Yeah.
which is when you're young, not for the
Right,
high
right.
school.
Oh,
So
okay,
when I
yeah.
was in my younger years, I definitely got to experience that, which where I grew up, it was a little bit, I think, different than where it is, how it is in other places or even today, right? Um, Nowadays kids, everything's just so simple and easy and hand it to
Yeah.
them and get a trophy even if you don't really win. And times were different back then.
Hmm.
You lost and you get over it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's funny how much that kind of thing has changed.
it's
You know.
so crazy. And I try to, with my kids, I try to be, as much like I can as it was for my childhood because I don't want to raise them in a way where they think life's going to be easy.
Right.
Because life is not easy, and I want them to know and learn how to deal with struggles and adversity.
Mm.
And when parents are constantly doing everything for their kids and, oh, you poor thing, that kind of mentality, they're not going to know how to live in the real world and deal with the real shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I try to, teach them, that way.
Yeah, well, there's not enough parents out there doing that, in my opinion.
No,
So bravo to
definitely
you.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny the difference in the dynamic of families now, and
Hmm.
you've got a pretty interesting dynamic. Obviously, and it's not uncommon for women nowadays to be single mothers, but
Yeah.
having two young boys the way you do, um,
Yeah.
how has that been like considering, where things started out for you? Has that been a complicated journey with them to try to
Um,
rationalize it all, or?
well, I took a break from the entertainment world a little bit, right? When they were younger, like when I was even working when I was 6 months pregnant. I mean, I was still working, doing autograph signings, things like that, but
Yeah,
I couldn't like go off and do a movie for a month, right?
right.
Um, However, I say that, and went and did the Celebrity Apprentice. I was there for I don't know how many weeks, but they got to come visit. But um, it's the thing. The thing that's funny about it is that's been always been my kind of end goal and dream is to be a mom. Like I have like for me that's the best thing that ever happened to me, and then my career is just the icing on the cake,
Mm,
right? Um so now that I get to have both of them, for me it's amazing. I love that I get to do both now that they're older. They're 13 and 14 now. So I can leave the whole day and go to LA and do things I need to do and come back, or
right.
they can go with their dad if I need to leave for a couple weeks, or whatever it might be. Now they're old enough, they ride their bikes to school. So no, don't have to worry about, oh my God, I got to be here to take them to school, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely
Yeah,
helps if they're older,
yeah. I'm sure the independence takes a lot of pressure off.
for sure. Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and I'm one of those, like, again, like I treat them like I was when I was in school. Like, parents nowadays only, they drive their kids to school. you only live a mile or two down the street, put them on a freaking bike. They can ride their bike.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
No, I much respect. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, but it's been good. It's actually been fine. I mean, I enjoy, and then I don't know if you know or not, but my son, my oldest son was in, Wineville with me and played my son in the movie. So I also
Right.
get to
Yeah.
work
I
with
haven't
my
been able to see
son.
it yet, but I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So I get to, work with him too sometimes. So that's kind of fun.
No, that's really cool that you can kind of have that shared experience like that. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, it
Definitely.
seems like, from what you're telling me, like you've lived several different lifetimes in a short amount.
I feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
definitely
definitely get
lots of
that.
different experiences and
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
So I guess we'll try to get through and get right to the nitty gritty since we're on topic. Um,
Sure.
so how did Playboy start for you?
Um, well, again, I think with, the desire at such a young age to want to live up to my mom's fantasy, right?
Right, right.
And so when I had moved to LA for acting, I was 22, 23, and I was, doing everything I could in Northern California, San Francisco area, where it's independent films and extras in big blockbuster movies and doing little TV shows like Nash Bridges, stuff
Very
like that.
underrated show, by the way. I love that.
But yeah, it was a good show. And so I realized, at the ripe old age of 22, 23, I'm not getting any younger. If I want to really do this, I got to move to Hollywood. And so I did it. I made the move. I got in a U-Haul, sold my car, moved there, lived on a friend's couch for about a month. I had to borrow my roommate's car to go to auditions and just really started from scratch. Got right off the boat and just went running. And part of it was, trying out for Playboy. That was also one of my goals. So yeah, tried out for that. And while I was, my first job was 90210. Then I did like a couple episodes of Love Boat and did a bunch of different things, and then got the Baywatch opportunity. And my Playmate of the Month issue and going to do Baywatch came out at the exact same time. They both were April. I left to Hawaii to do Baywatch in April, and my issue was April 2000.
Yeah, so the
Um,
timing was just perfect.
they happened simultaneously. It was crazy. Um, I guess timing is everything. But so that happened, kind of at the same time, and that's what really started and catapulted everything.
Nice. Now, obviously, like you said, you had the inspiration from a young age, and your mother respected the business enough to say, "Hey, I want my daughter to be that elegant and beautiful."
Yeah.
Um, what was that like for your mother when you finally got to that stage in life? Like,
I mean, I think she was, you know, not as excited as me, but she was just, I feel like she was excited. Even my grandma was excited. They all, came to the mansion and
right.
yeah, I think that she's excited. She saw, her daughter starting to live out her dreams, and I think she was living vicariously through me, and and loved seeing all that journey.
Well, I'm sure you got all kinds of stories, and I won't get too far into that, what goes on behind closed doors in Hef's mansion. But, you know, that must have been a hell of a dynamic to be a 22-year-old kid, you know, moving away and then getting into that. Like, what was that first day like for you at the mansion?
Oh, wow. Well, the first day was, well, what I will say is the first morning. Like my girlfriend and I woke up, we went out by the pool, we ordered, there was a phone outside by the pool, press zero, ordered food and drinks. And I remember it like it was yesterday, just sitting up and looking at all the, I love animals, looking at all the animals, the house, the pool, the waterfall. And I was just like, I can't believe I'm here. Like it was just, it was magical. It really was. And that whole experience, my whole experience with Playboy was like that. It was always very surreal, very magical. Dreams coming true.
Mm.
Meeting, I've met every celebrity you can imagine, through being at the Playboy Mansion and traveling with Hef and all the wonderful experiences going to Cannes and I mean, there's just my whole experience there was just it was rad, man. I mean, it was cool. I feel very blessed and lucky that my era was late 90s, early 2000s, because that was, before our crazy social media, before camera phones, where you could just, all the celebrities just hung out at the mansion, just having a great time because there wasn't anyone trying to hide behind with a phone camera and posting it on social
Yeah,
media.
it wasn't
It
like
was,
you had the nominate or the sovereignty, I guess you could say, to
yeah.
have that away from the public eye and
Yeah.
really let loose. So
Yes, it was
that makes
great.
a lot of sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, obviously, in that line of work, especially in Hollywood, it comes with some controversy and whatnot. And you've been a big advocate in defense of Hef over the
Mhm.
years. And what do you think is like one of the few things that people really never realized about him that would probably change their perspective?
Oh, that's a tough one because he's like an open book, right? Everything about his life has been transparent.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is just that when news and media comes out, the people only know what's the last thing they saw,
Mm.
right? So if you're watching like what some small, very few handful of girls are saying, that's what you're remembering. But if you watch all of the documentaries and every story that's ever been told about him and all of the wonderful things he's done for civil rights, for bringing female equality, so many things that he's done. If you were to see all those stories, you remember and see, wow, this guy was freaking amazing. What a great guy! What he did for so many people. If they could just somehow bring those back and then get rid of these few little handful of people that said bad things,
Mm.
then I think everything would be fine. It'd be washed that away. Um, because he really was an amazing human being.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to have the impression on not only pop culture, but the people around him. The girls, you
Yeah.
guys were closer to him than anyone at that point.
Yeah.
And, it was a pretty unique dynamic, even in pop culture back then, um,
Mhm.
to even have somebody in this position publicly, making aware of, yeah, I got all these women living with me and I don't have a care in the world. And, like,
Yeah.
you can do it too if you put your mind to it. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he was always a real matter of fact on the interviews I ever watched him about,
Yeah.
um, you know, it is what it is, and
Yeah.
it was never you got to be this way. You're not accepted. It was just like
Right.
this is my life. You guys like it, great. If not, that's cool.
Yeah. And that is how and that is one of the wonderful things about him is that he was not a judgmental person, right? It's like, I'm doing me, you do you. Like,
Right,
he's
right.
you don't got like this is what makes me happy and I'm, doing me and whatever makes you happy. I've never seen him ever strike judgment on anyone. People could just, be themselves, be free, no matter what, who they are. And he was a very gracious person like that. He loved everyone and respected everyone and let people be who they are. And that is something that I really admired about him, is how gracious he was to everybody.
No, it always came across to me that like yeah, he did what he did and he got where he was, but it was unapologetically him,
Yep.
and there's something to be said about authenticity in anyone these days. So
Yeah,
I always tip my hat to the man for a long time.
yeah, good,
It's a
good.
hell of an inspiration.
Yeah, yes,
Definitely.
absolutely.
So, looking at the business when it comes to the adult side of entertainment at this point, like you mentioned with the social media and whatnot going on, and the readiness that people have to, all these amateur footage or what have you, OnlyFans and the like. What what kind of impact do you feel like it's had on Playboy specifically? Has it been more of a negative thing? Like, do you feel like it's kind of had a drawback to it, or is it allowing for a broader audience to experience that same classy level of sex appeal?
That's a tough one. I mean, I feel bad or sad because of the internet, right? So now it's
Right.
out there everywhere. So the appeal for Playboy magazine, um, it's no longer really not like it was before because that was your only outlet, right? To see beautiful women, beautiful photography. Now you can see beautiful photography anywhere on the internet, right? Like everybody can do it. Whereas
Right.
before it was just the Playboy photographers creating these amazing film sets, right? Production design, everything they did was beautiful. So it is sad that it feels like it's a dying era.
Mm.
Magazines are just filtering out, right? So it's sad to see that time go. And I know Playboy is trying to, keep up with the times and do what they can, but it's now sex is oversaturated everywhere now, and you can just get it at one little click.
Yeah.
So the mystere and the mystique of it is not there anymore because it's
Yeah, it's
everywhere.
not a hard commodity to get, pardon the
Yeah,
pun.
right, right.
But yeah, no, I always, it's been a while since I've been a bachelor, but
Mhm.
you know, I always kind of wondered like how much different that is, because you don't even see that in rock and roll anymore. Like the age of the rock stars,
Yeah,
we're all working regular blue collar jobs to pay the
yeah.
bills, and
I know.
playing weekend warrior pretty much at this point. So
Yeah,
yeah, I just kind of miss the not so much the glitz and glamour, but just the uniqueness of it all.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't see that
Even
anymore.
even just, the excitement of, let's say, the month coming out and you go into your mailbox and, ooh, who's going to be the celebrity interview in this month, and who's the playmate going to be, and what's this genre, the fantasy going to, like,
My
just
sense of
all that
humor
stuff.
really came a lot from the jokes that they would put in Playboy
Yeah,
as a
the
kid.
cartoons and
Yeah,
all.
yeah, really funny stuff. Like I was
It
always like,
was fun, right? To get like
yeah,
what's going to be in this issue, it's
it's definitely a
that.
lost art at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, moving on to what you've done with film and other type of things. Is there anything that you've been working on more recently? Obviously, you got Wineville.
Hmm.
Um, is that really become like one of your biggest passion projects?
Well, 100%. That's my
Yeah.
baby. That is what now we're in the stages of, trying to get eyeballs on it and people to watch it and promoting it. But that was, something that I produced, directed, acted in, financed, the whole thing. I'm a true independent filmmaker, and I love it as hard as it is and as hard as it was. I love it. So I'll continue to do it. I'm excited getting this one off the ground, trying to get lots of people to watch it. Once I get that on the ground, then I've got all my other my shows and movies that I want to do, all my other scripts that I, want to put together. So it's definitely an ongoing thing. I absolutely love it. But yeah, the key is to get everybody to watch Wineville. So everyone that's listening,
Yes, yes. Make sure
support a
you watch
single
that.
mom, independent filmmaker with her dream and go watch Wineville.
No, I look forward to see what you got up your sleeve for
Yeah.
sure. Um, so you got that stuff. You're doing the OnlyFans thing, like you said. Um, seeing all these celebs getting into it and whatnot.
Yeah.
What has that experience been like? Like as far as connecting with fans like myself.
That's, I think it's really cool and it's become very mainstream, which is fun. 'Cause a lot of celebrities are on it now.
Right.
Um, and for me, I love communicating with my fans. And just like when I go to my autograph signings and they come to see me, I love having conversations. I love all that part. I love, as far as the pictures go, like I get to be my own photo editor and
Hmm.
my own setups and I've said it before, be my own Hugh Hefner, so to speak, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I like that part of it. I like having the say so and the control over what I choose is out there, and I like having the direct communication with the fans as well.
No, definitely. I'm on a way smaller scale as far as celebrity goes, but you know, I know that playing music in New England like I have for a number of years,
Uh-huh.
the more I can keep in touch with people, it's always a good thing. So,
Yeah,
well,
absolutely. Right? And they'll
definitely.
follow you, right? If you
Right, right,
keep that
exactly.
rapport and they'll follow you to your next gig.
Exactly. So it's we're all trying to hustle in the entertainment business one way or another.
That's right. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So acting aside, or I should say personal projects, um, do you have like a dream role, like a character that you would absolutely love to from another franchise?
Um, well, there's no like real dream role, so to speak,
Right.
but I like the idea of just getting down and dirty and the nitty gritty, like not so much so crazy as this, but like, the role Monster with Charlize Theron, something like crazy and deep like
Mhm.
that, even uh The Burning Bed
Yeah.
was like a movie I remember as a kid, just like, that beaten mom that has to then get strong, but something that's just so, where I don't have to wear makeup, right? Where I can just
Yeah.
like get in there into the nitty gritty and really get deep down in a role. And I think that would be really rewarding for me to do. But I love all the stuff. I love like comedy, like big time comedy, like
Mhm.
Will Ferrell, Ben Stiller type, Owen Wilson type comedy.
Yeah.
So I mean, to be in any of those roles, Leslie Mann, like I love her. She's so
Mhm.
amazing. Um, that I love too. So I mean, there's just so much, right? I mean, there's so much I want to do.
Well, and it's nice to see that you haven't lost any motivation over the years. You're still very much a go-getter from what I can tell.
100%.
Uh,
Absolutely. The
One
drive is,
after my own heart, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to film, especially nowadays with the internet being what it is, I've noticed a bit of an uptake in filming in the Northeast as opposed to Hollywood. Have
Mhm.
you seen any of that trend going on?
Oh yeah. A lot of filming in Vegas,
Yeah.
New Mexico, Texas, Atlanta. Yeah, a lot of other places because everyone's giving these oh hi Teddy. Um these no, these tax incentives, right? And so yeah, I mean it's all over, which it makes sense because I mean Hollywood is so small, right? It's like
Right.
small, it's oversaturated, and it's cool to be able to go out and other places in the world, and
No,
shoot.
definitely.
Yeah.
Any advice for upcoming models, around the age that you were, or, girls that are interested in getting into the business and, you know, what to avoid, that kind of thing?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about modeling, to be honest. The only
Yeah.
modeling I really did was Playboy, right? Like as far as that goes.
Okay.
But I mean, it could be anything with acting or modeling. I mean, if it's your dream, and this can go for anything, you don't give up. You
Yep.
keep going, and if a door closes, then you find a window to crawl through. You know what I mean? You think outside the box and you figure out other things you can do, and you do the things that other people won't do. So that is one thing that I've always gone by. I always try to figure out how I can do it differently and do it. And people that won't do the hard work, right? A lot of people just want it to come easy and they won't do the hard work. You got to do the hard work. But if specifically with like modeling and acting and young ladies, don't ever fall into any traps or any guys saying, well, you have to be with me or sleep with me in order to get this or that. Don't fall for that crap.
Mm.
I remember when I was um, first moved to LA, and my acting coach at the time sent me to go meet with this manager producer who is actually quite huge. And I went to go have a meeting with him, and he said, okay, well, I'll take you on and you'll be famous like so and so. But if I tell you to meet at this corner at 1 o'clock in the morning to meet someone, you have to be able to meet, you have to do what I say, no questions asked. And he didn't say like anything specific, but I kind of was reading through the lines and I'm like, thankfully I knew this director friend. I called him, I said, this manager is telling me that I have to like do whatever, meet people or, no questions asked. I'm like, is this normal? Because I mean, I was 22, 23 years old. I didn't
Right,
know
right.
Hollywood. You could move there and think this is normal. Just a young kid. And he's like, Brandy, no, 100% go and decline respectfully and say, no, thank you, blah, blah. So I'm so glad I had somebody to ask. I called the manager. I said, thank you so much, but I'm going to go in a different direction. And he goes, well, I think you might have misunderstood what I was saying. And I go, well, if I did, maybe, but I'm just going to go in a different direction. I like kind of, but he said, oh, you must have misunderstood me. But it didn't matter, what it was. It was what he was
Mhm.
saying, how he was saying it. But so any girls that are listening, don't fall for any of these, types of traps or whatever. Especially if you're young and you don't understand how it works. But just hard work, perseverance, go after it, don't give up, and you just keep going because it will happen eventually. Sometimes it's a numbers game as far as years go, right? It's a long game, you just have to keep at it. And if you keep at it longer than everybody else, everyone else will drop out and you just keep going and
Yep.
you'll eventually get what your goal is.
Right.
Yeah, but don't
Oh,
be
that's
lazy.
fantastic advice. I think that's definitely on point with a few questions I got asked from a couple of fans. So
Mhm.
appreciate the insight, definitely.
Yeah.
So aside from that type of thing, is there anything, you know, Valentine's related, like any really bad dates you can talk about, or you know,
Bad dates.
yeah, I'm just trying to think of ending on a comic note.
Well, okay, so I did go on one date with a certain male celebrity.
Okay.
And this was like our first or second date, I can't remember. But we were making out, and while we're making out, he farted.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that does happen.
And so me and my girlfriends always get a nice laugh out of that one, but
Yeah.
acted like nothing happened and like literally like farted while we're making out, and this was like our first or second date. Um, so that was it wasn't Valentine's Day, but it was a date. So yeah, guys, don't eat broccoli or beans or any of that stuff when you're going out on a first or second date.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
Good deal. So, other than, the film coming up you got going on, what's the easiest way for fans to connect with you? Is it just the OnlyFans or?
Yeah, if yeah, we could do that. That would be great. You could follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, X, all the things under my name, Brande Roderick, and also follow Wineville. But for more communication, like one-on-one communication would be OnlyFans. And yeah, go watch Wineville, that it would really mean a lot to me if you guys would go see my baby. But it is sick
Well,
and twisted, so you have to be prepared for that.
I like anything with depth nowadays, so I appreciate that for
Yes,
sure. Well, Brandy,
yes.
thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, and you're definitely a woman about town as always.
Yeah.
And I hope everything continues to be well for you.
Well, thank you, Josh. I hope the same for you as well.
Thanks. We'll see you next time, folks.